there's this term called Hikikomori, which denotes young Japanese men who are opting out of their society. They're staying at home, they're giving up on school, they're giving up on work, and they're just entertaining themselves. And this, people see this starting to show up in the West too. And so it's obviously something that is not country bound. It is something that is a part of a modern living that young men suffer. And the idea, people say, oh, it's a problem. How do we fix this, you know? And of course, how do they fix it? They heap more shaming language on the men. That's what they do. We basically say, get out of the closet, or find something to entertain yourself, or get a good job, or whatever. Same old difference. Since video retention is fairly short, I'm going to say it right now. What makes you guys think that the married man who spends his time coming from the work to the couch and then back to work again is really any different from these young Hikikomori guys? I mean, what makes you think that? When a guy gets married, what I see over time, he starts giving up his hobbies. He spends less and less time with his friends. And then he makes a man cave where, you know, the wife has the house and he basically has one room where he can be himself. With, you know, whether it's the basement or the attic or the garage. So how is that any different living than these young guys who stay in their bedrooms, let's say, or their one-bedroom apartment if they can get social assurance services? How is it really any different? Well, there's only one difference. The married man has a woman to vet his existence as something worthwhile, even though it isn't anymore worthwhile. But it doesn't matter. It's really just female validation. And you'll note there's this, one of the efforts Japan put into is like Rent-A-Sister, which is a young woman who's not related to the guy. She's not her sister at all, but she comes by and coaxes him out of his bedroom and into the greater world. And you'll note that it's funny. It's not rent a brother or father or best friend. It's rent a sister. It's basically rent a woman. And it shows you that men really engage in social circles at the behest of women. And I have to ask you, like, what happens when this woman is done and says, yep, I got you out, I'm done with you, see you around? You know, they have a halfway house. I better jump this in quickly, where they wouldn't allow the guys to play video games to force them to be more social with each other. So right off their bat, they're denying the one outlet that's entertaining to them, just to become zombies. You know, I think you're more zombified dealing with guys you don't want to deal with, that you're forced to deal with, than simply engaging in a video game that's entertaining. You're just a man in a perpetual waiting room with other men, hoping some woman will come by. And so it just shows you just how disgusting it is, like society is towards men. It's like they're not really trying to give them anything. They're just trying to take things away to keep them in line, to keep them in this dead-end zone, this dead zone, this black and white world. In the video I saw about the Rent-A-Sister, they even got married, one couple. I got together. Sounds like a victorious end for them, but what if she gets tired of him and leaves him? You think he was, in a shell before. What's going to happen after that? This guy still has to perform and gain status. What if he doesn't do it? Women are known to dump a guy after a certain amount of time when she realizes he's reached his ceiling and his ceiling isn't high enough for her. So this effort by Japan is a complete insult. And I would also like to go on about these YouTubers who bring it up, because most of the YouTubers are to bring it up, of course, other guys, and they know the score, and they turn around and pose the question like they don't know. You know, what's going on with young men today, or what's happening? And one I saw, I looked in the comment section, and he wasn't in one of the comment section at all. Like, he wasn't engaged in it. And I always distrust guys who have zero engagement. You know, if you have 1,000 comments, you can't talk to them all. But when it's zero, because you know something, these guys who don't comment at all, they look down on their audience. They want them there for their views, and maybe even Patreon if they can get it. But if they engage with them, that would be putting themselves on their level. They're not going to do that. These bums see themselves as the guys they're talking to. That's why they don't engage. And of course, if they've got t-shirts to sell, that is another red flag. So I'm just letting you guys know now. You'll notice this channel, there are no t-shirt sales. There's no Patreon. There's no PayPal. There's no thumbs up. There's no please subscribe. And you know what else there isn't? There isn't any stupid questions about why Hikikomori exists or why it's happening on the West. I'm telling you guys, this is why it's happening. You really know why it's happening. I just want to say what I want to say. And so I don't sell anything. You guys have to throw off this shaming language, because it does you no good. It just heaps on. If you're a young man who's depressed in your bedroom, or you are only going to suffer even more if you tune into these stupid channels that turn around and ask these rhetorical questions that insult you, and then heap on these stupid self-improvement advice of being someone you aren't, and build up, throw away everything you love to gain status. These young guys who are suffering this, do you think that they haven't tried that in the first place? I mean, the young guys in Japan and the rest of the world, by the way, who succeed, they're not suffering that. So, you can't all succeed. It's a race. It's not like we're building benches. We're not into carpentry and everyone gets to build their own bench. It's a foot race. In a foot race of 100 guys, there's 99 losers. Okay? And so someone's going to lose. And considering it's not, the line isn't at 50%, so there's a 50%, success rate. It's the top 20 or 10% or whatever. It's a small amount. And that's why this kind of situation is growing exponentially for young men. You either succeed or you fail. Now, succeed in this case is beating out most other guys. It doesn't mean that you get X amount of dollars. Your success is comparative to other guys. So if every guy, any of these young guys, gain, let's say you all double your effort and double your wealth, comparatively, you're no different than the next guy. You have to outdo the next guy, and by quite amount, right? So it's, all you're doing is ramping up your time and your effort and losing all of your youth and all the stuff that you love to remain at the exact same spot. It's a losing situation. So I'm telling you now that you don't want to become depressed, but what you do want to do is throw away the shackles and try and live a minimal existence. But also the depression comes from not wanting or the inability to realize that you are looking for one to vet you. That's what you really have to dump. You have to stop looking for women to validate you, and then you go about your living. It's going to be lonely no matter what. Married men live lonely existences. I'm letting you know that. It's just that they're validated by some woman, and that's what they're actually looking for. They live shit lives. And I'm hoping for something better for you guys. Now, here's the thing. Even though women encourage men to throw everything away and make her the center of his universe, you know, that doesn't force them to do it. I have to let you know this. Men do it because they want to. You see? And that's why I'm trying to encourage you to search for another way to live your life. People do become less social with age. I live in a huge family. You know, I see them less and less all the time. It's not because they, you know, live miles and miles away, all of them. You know, they just become less social. This is natural human behavior. So I want you to let you know that. You know, that's why if you look at married men, they have less and less to do with one another, you know, as time flows on. It's just that people don't care because he's servicing a woman, and that's all they care about. And finally, one of the things one of these disgusting YouTubers mentioned was men having this desire to, you know, procreate. I got news for you. That's bullshit. Men fulfill their instincts to procreate by engaging in the sex act, but they don't really want children, you know, because if they did, you know, any woman who decided, you know, I'm not going to bother, I'm going to have my pill all the time, not have children, they would leave her. They don't. They actually, guys start sweating when they find out that the wife is pregnant. You know, it's usually not the happy occasion guys like to try and brag up too. I need you to know this as well. Men satisfy their urge to procreate by going through the actions of procreation. They don't actually necessarily want to procreate. So guys who go through that nature fallacy, I mean, don't trust them. These guys are bums, okay? Now, I think that's all I need to say. Thank you, everyone.